welcome to Muscle Maintenance within Shape Fitness. I'm Coach Kim. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am doing something I call the I will morning routine, which is opposed to the I won't or I can't routine that a lot of people adopt. And if you think about it, if your shower and coffee are the only things on your to-do list for the morning before work or school or whatever, your body has a sustainability problem. Now, Time Magazine just published an article about this really stark reality. Only 23% of American adults get enough exercise. And these are federal government standards. I hasten the idea that perhaps our federal government might have some issues in and of itself with understanding and defining what sufficient exercise is, but they say that 23% of American adults only get enough exercise. Nearly one half of us don't even come close. So this routine is full of equipment-free moves that are meant for you to do rolling out of your bed with your pajamas still on, and then you maybe put the coffee on and then roll into your living room space or some other space where you have the ability to move about with just your body weight, getting some flexibility work in, getting core work in. You don't need shoes on your feet, and of course, no equipment. So stand up really tall. Let's go. We're going to go for about 15 minutes of time working today. So about a 17-minute podcast in total. So try to join me for the whole thing. A lot of the very beginning is just breathing exercises and something I call the postural systems check. And a postural systems check is literally where you stand up really tall and think about your body parts and where your body is in space. So your body is, kind of unique. Humans are the only bipedal, naturally occurring animals that don't have a tail and that move about on two legs, easily, right? We're built to move on our two legs. So anatomically speaking, we have all the right equipment built right in. All we need to do is use it properly. It starts with your posture. When you stand up really tall, you want to think about your placement, the placement of your feet. You want your feet to stay heel to toe positioned, so don't turn out your toes. And you want to think about pressing into your floor or whatever surface you're standing on. All four corners of each of your feet should be in use, meaning you want to think about pressing into the floor with both the sides of your feet and the heel and balls of your feet, your toes and your heels, so that you kind of have all four corners covered. Then as you're moving up your leg, think about the alignment of your ankles with your hips and your knees, your ankles, knees, and hips rather, and making sure that there's one straight line in between that or up that leg or up each of your legs. You want to tug a little bit on those thigh muscles, kind of squeeze them isometrically, squeeze your butt cheeks a little bit, and then scoop your butt or tuck in your tailbone a little bit, because the plumb line, which is the postural sort of anatomically neutral position that a lot of people don't have anymore when they stand up sort of just casually. So the scoop of the butt, which means that the spine isn't, or the pelvis rather, isn't tilted, sticking the spine out and contracting the lower back, which pulls on the hip flexors and keeps those hip flexor muscles, which are really important, super tight as you're moving about. Then you want to make sure that your shoulders are back. Your ears and your shoulders should line up vertically, so your head should be back. Your shoulders should be back. Your chest puffs out a little bit as you do that. And your hands, this is important, your hands turn slightly out. If your palms face your quads, your thighs, or your butt, you're kind of curling the shoulder inwards, which collapses your chest. And believe it or not, this has really internal significance, because this collapses your respiratory capability as well. It limits it. When you push your shoulders back, you open up the chest. You have a greater efficiency in terms of your respiration. So take now 5 really big, strong, deep breaths. As you're thinking about your respiration, you want to inhale deeply. Smell the air through your nose. And then bellow all of the carbon dioxide out of your mouth and contract the diaphragm, moving through that process again, inhaling, smelling the air, inhaling through your nose, which keeps your stress hormones down, and it keeps your heart rate controllable. You want to prevent the sort of rapid fire primitive part of your brain from taking over when you exercise, which elevates your heart rate and emits stress hormones into your bloodstream, which, guess what, prevent your metabolism from activating and building sort of that fat burning and sort of metabolically stabilizing level of activity on the inside of your body. Now, bring your feet in a heel to toe position. What I want you to do is an exercise called the Lighthouse. And this is a balance exercise. It's not difficult. All you have to do, and if it's too difficult, you're already feeling like just bringing your feet heel to toe puts you so off balance that you're not able to do anything. All you're going to be doing is moving your head. You want to extend your hands out, arms out to the sides so that your palms face down. So you're making a giant cross with your body. And then if you need to restabilize yourself, if you're not balanced enough to move your head, stagger your feet a little bit. But slowly you turn your head all the way to the right until you gaze down the length of your right arm. Hopefully you can do that. If you can't, it's okay, but do your best. You've got maybe some range of motion issues in your neck, and we can deal with that separately. Not today, but you have to deal with that separately. So then the Lighthouse is just discombobulating the equilibrium of your inner ear. And that's important because that vestibular system within your body is a really main signifier for neuromuscular response, for your metabolism, for your ability to recreate, to move on your feet, or if you're pedaling or in a pool even, and maintain your sense of proprioception, where your body is in space. So now if you haven't done both feet forward, switch your feet so that the other leg is forward, and then we're going to get the heart rate up a little bit after this. Excellent. So make sure that you're continually breathing in by your nose, smelling the air. And I really want you to emphasize that part. Take that inhale deeply. It should take a couple of seconds. And then bellow intensely out of your mouth via the strength of your diaphragm. Okay, now make a giant X with your body. So now separate your feet a little bit. You're going to point your toes forward still. Don't let your toes turn out, but your feet are sort of double shoulder width apart. Your hands are up. Your palms face forward. So you should still feel that open of the chest and maybe a little bit of a stretch of your spine. Watch the back and your butt. Again, try not to let your butt stick out. So if you need to scoop or tuck in your tailbone a little bit, continually do that. So now you're in this big giant X. What you're going to do is a standing bicycle crunch. So this is an ab exercise, but it's on your feet. Not a huge fan of crunches, though we do them. But what you want to do is bring the right elbow down and across the body as the left knee comes up to meet it. Then stretch back out. And exhale as you squeeze. Inhale as you stretch back out. All right, for 1 minute, we're going to do this standing bicycle crunch. And then we're going to do some squats and some jumping jacks. And then we're going to go down to the floor for the rest of the routine. All simple exercises that you can do on your own. You don't need this podcast, though obviously you can listen to it anytime you want. That's why we do the podcast workouts. But you're about 20 seconds in to the standing bicycle crunch here now. Again, make sure that you are exhaling as you squeeze. You inhale as you stretch back out. You're alternating right elbow with left knee, left elbow with right knee. Squeeze. You've got another 20 seconds to go. And I enjoy doing these exercises in my apartment in Harlem, USA, where I live. I am always barefoot. I do not bring my shoes into my apartment. So if you are wearing shoes, just make sure that you are still using the strength of your feet. The muscles in our feet are really, really important for overall, again, sustainability of long-term functional health. Okay, rest for a second. What did I say we were going to do next? Some squats, and then we're going to do some jumping jacks. And we're going to combine some of this stuff because it's too simple and easy and boring to just have you do squats and then have you do jumping jacks. You can do those as well if you're not comfortable with a little bit of a pickup at the end. But what you want to do for a standard squat is to separate your feet about shoulder width apart. Again, you don't want your toes to turn out, and then you sit down and back into an imaginary chair or a real chair if you would rather, and then scoop up your butt. Imaginary, right? You don't actually get to do that with your hands or someone else's hands, but you lift through your butt muscles instead of your quads, pressing your heels into the floor and stand up really tall, making sure that those hip flexors fully elongate the hip muscles in front of the muscles that line your hip bone, the front of your body that connects your spine to your legs via the pelvis. All right, so another 30 seconds of squats. Doesn't matter how many you do, but you want to inhale as you lower your body, and you want to pause for just a fraction of a second, literally just a fraction of a second, so that your apex, where you switch directions, you maintain control, because momentum, gravity and momentum are two physical forces that we need and love on this planet. But for your willful exercise, you don't want their help. Okay, now we're going to do some jumping jacks just to warm up the jumping jack sort of motion to make sure that you got it. And then we're going to start combining all three of the exercises that we've done after the lighthouse. We did the lighthouse first, then we did the standing bicycle crunch, then regular squats. Now you're doing jumping jacks, another 20 seconds or so of regular jumping jacks where you extend your arms up and over your body. There can be a slight bend in your elbow, but not a super bend in your elbow. You want to try to stretch out the spine as you're jumping your feet out, jumping your feet back together. 5 more seconds. And pause. Take 3 deep belly breaths. Inhale, smell the air around you. Exhale, bellowing out through the mouth. And back to the inhale. Really deep inhale through your nose. And bellow out that carbon dioxide, the waste gases. Get it out of your body. Inhale through your nose one more time. And then bellow the air out of your body. Okay, now keep those arms up. Okay, so let's do one standing bicycle crunch, one combination. Right elbow with the left knee, left elbow with the right knee. Now a jumping jack, and now a squat. Now a jumping jack. Go back into that standing position with your arms up after your jumping jack. Back to your X. Right elbow with the left knee, left elbow with the right knee. And then back into a squat. Let's do 2 squats. Inhale down, exhale up. Inhale down, exhale up. 2 jumping jacks. 2 more squats. And then stand up really tall one more time. And let's do right elbow to the left knee and left elbow to the right knee. That was about 40 seconds of the little pickup montage, if you will. Go ahead and drop down to your floor and lower yourself into child's pose. We've got about 3 more minutes of work, and then I'm going to give you a couple of stretches to do. The last little bit of work involves essentially 2 moves. It's plank and hip bridge. Such important exercises to know how to do and know how to do well. So if you're dropping down out of your child's pose, you're going to lift your body up, but lower your body to your elbows. You don't want to do a plank on your hands unless you're doing it in combination with things like push-ups and downward dogs or whatever, because elbows on forearms with your hands flat on the floor, that gives you a base of support that is wider, it's more relaxing, and you've got 20 seconds in your regular plank right now. Your time is going. A plank on your knees, by the way, is still a plank. So if you're not able to hold your body up onto your toes in this plank position, drop to your knees. Just make sure that your butt stays straight. If there's any bend between the torso and your thighs, That means your hip flexors are contracting a little bit. That prevents the isometric teamwork that your abdominal muscles need to engage in order to hold the plank. Okay, flip your body over. Let's get into the hip bridge position. Hip bridge position is a really important position to know. So when you're in hip bridge, you're lying on your back, your knees are bent, your feet are flat on the floor, your toes and heels line up, and your ankles and your knees line up straight once you lift your butt up into the air. You want to watch to make sure that you don't tuck in too much and tilt your pelvis too much. So you want a neutral position of your torso, the combined spine, pelvis, anatomy, and you just hold the position for a few seconds. Hip bridge dips are really great exercise for beginners. So if you're a beginner exerciser right now and this is all you know, you haven't been in this position before, you probably shouldn't move away from this position. We're gonna go for 1 more minute. You're gonna finish with 1 more plank, and then we're gonna be done. So your minute is going now. If you are comfortable in this position, you want to lift up your left leg right now. And this is what you're gonna do. You've got a couple of options. You can either do bridge dips with just your right leg, and you wanna make sure that you keep your toes down. Everybody should keep your toes down when you're in hip bridge position. And then you want to, or rather if you don't want to do the dips, you can do some toe taps with the left leg. You've got 5 more seconds though. So finish up the right leg only work and now switch to the left leg. If you're right-handed, this left leg motion is going to be more difficult, but let's go back to it. Either tapping the right foot down onto the floor, keep the left toes down on the floor, and then if you're strong enough and you want to do the bridge dips with just the left leg down, that's fine as well. Fabulous. 5 more seconds. You're doing great. And go ahead and take a few seconds, lower your body back down to the floor, and then turn your body over, and let's finish with a plank. Now, when you're going to get yourself back into the plank position on your elbows, when you're finished, you're going to take 5 deep breaths in each of the stretches. So you're going to start with child's pose, and then you're going to lift up into downward facing dog. And then you're going to lie on your back, and you're going to hug both of your knees. Your time is up, by the way, for that last plank. So start stretching, lower to child's pose. So it's child's pose, then downward facing dog, and then on your back, you hug both knees. And then when you get to the individual knees, you also want to take a pull of the knee that you're hugging over to the opposite side and straighten out that hugged leg in order to stretch out your IT band. Take a couple of deep breaths. Any other stretches that you do at this point are great. And enjoy knowing that you have stimulated your body. Now, this is not a willful set of exercises that will put you in a bikini if you have 100 pounds to lose, or will put you on the cover of a magazine, or will allow you to run a marathon. But these exercises do stimulate the functional components of the inside of your body, as well as stimulate the neuromuscular response, your joints, and the muscle tissues in your entire body, such that you get through your day, hopefully without pain and with a little exercise and a few smiles. Have a wonderful day. I will see you again soon.